Shut up and sit down.
And now, streaming live from the sunny Southern California coast, this is Options Uncensored.
Hey everybody, I'm Steve. Welcome to Options Uncensored. We're making real option trades in real time together. Let's get right into it. First things first, make sure you have your brokerage account open so you can follow along. Have your YouTube video quality set as high as possible. That way you can read the numbers a whole lot easier. Have a calculator on hand so we can do some easy math. If you have a question or a stock you want to go over together live, leave it in the comment section below and we'll do it together live. And finally, remember, this is not financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes only. All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. We made it first week of January. Let's check our open positions. We had our short Dow Jones DIA call spread fill this morning. We'll go over that one in a second. XHB, trying to get to 25. Right now we're at 45. We're doing fine on this one. No worries. Roku was the roll from December to January expiration, trying to get to 34. Right now at 78. No problems there. SPY, same thing. We rolled this one from December to January. We got some work to do on this one and may have to roll this one another time, but that's okay. IWM, both legs are out of the money, so that's good. Trying to get to 20. Right now, Mark is at 96. And XBI, same thing. Got some work to do on this one. So we may need to roll XBI and SPY either today or by Monday for sure. Okay? Let's look at the DIA position that we got filled. So we shorted the 383 and bought the 388. 383 is right here. So we shorted it back, honestly I don't remember, sometime back here, maybe late December sometime. And even though it hasn't moved down significantly, it's still filled just because time has decayed so much and there's not enough movement upwards that by January expiration, which this one was, the probability of it getting there is less and less and less. So this one filled. We made $32. Let's do the math. Made $32 and risked 500 minus the credit of 64, 65. 32 divided by, let's say, 450. So 7.1% return. Not bad. Good start to the year so far. We had 3 positions get filled. That's really good. And on this position alone, we made 7.1% return, roughly return. Okay? All right. Let's see if we can find some new opportunities. First up is CVS. Up moderately today. The news today reaffirmed, that's right, they reaffirmed their guidance for 2023. All right, so that's helping the stock today. Earnings, though, are on the 7th, so we got a little bit more than a month, roughly, to get this one done. Honestly, though, if it breaks above here, the next spot for resistance is, well, we're at some heavy resistance right now, but if it does break above, it can go all the way up to 84, 85-ish. So I don't know if I'd want to sell the call side here, but I'm also not crazy about selling the put side. It's call side if you wanted to. So we're open positions. New ones are now February expiration. You'd have to sell 87.5 and buy 90. Let's take a look. That's 78 minus 42 divided by 2 divided by 250. That's 7.2%. But just understand this 87.5 is a little close. The 90's too far out to sell, so that's why you'd want to sell the 87.5 on the call side. And again, If you look back to the chart, if it does break up about this range, it can move all the way to 85. So 87.5 is still out of that. 87.5 is right about here. So I think for CVS, even though we are getting close to earnings, I'd wait for it to move to the upside more till around 84, 85, and then sell a call spread. So we're close, but we're not there yet. Moving on, McDonald's. I can't believe this, but I think McDonald's got a downgrade today. Fools. McDonald's downgraded at Oppenheimer. Earnings are February 5th, so exactly 1 month away. They have had a good run lately, like everything else, but I don't know if it warrants a downgrade. They've got a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. They've got the new store called Cosmics coming out. They've got a pilot program going on in Bolingbrook, Illinois. You should definitely check it out. Looks very interesting. By the way, I am a shareholder of McDonald's. Love this stock. So downgrade, it's affecting the stock a little bit today. However, since the run up, I'm not sure if I would want to sell puts here. If we would sell puts, kind of wait till it get to it could catch resistance right around 282. So we're a little early to sell puts on this one, but also it may be too late to sell calls. Let's see what pays what side. Earnings are on the 5th, that's right. Call side, if you sold 305 and bought 310 or 315, 138 minus, let's do the 310. 73 divided by 2 divided by 500, 6.5% there if you sold the call side of McDonald's. Again, just looking by the chart, it's not going to catch any support until at least 285. If not 283-ish. Right here, 200-day, and you got support from back here in November. So have at it what you wish. Put side, if you want to sell the puts, you're a little early. Sell 270 and buy 265. That's 38 divided by 2 divided by 500, 3.8. So no, the skew is to the call side. You'd want to sell the call side. Interesting. I'll put it on the list. I'm not sure. Has to be a fast move. And I don't want to bet against McDonald's. Next, Norwegian Cruise and Carnival. Let's start with Carnival. They got the upgrade and Norwegian got the downgrade. Earnings for Carnival are on March 27th, so that's great. We got plenty of time for that one. Price target raise, maintain. Today's the 5th. They got an upgrade. It's just not listed here. So you can see it caught support from back here in August of 2023, and it's bounced already. If the downside, and this is going to continue, it'll hit around 1820 and then come back down. It's not there yet, but you missed the put side. So you can't sell the put side, and it's a little early to sell the call side. If you wanted to, for February, selling the call side, the 20 is a little close. The 20 is definitely, the 21 is definitely too far out. I would skip this one altogether. Let's look at Norwegian. NCLH, is that it? There you go. This one got the downgrade at Fargo. Wells downgraded Norwegian this morning. Price target at 18, so that's right where it's at right now. Earnings are on the 27th, so we've got well over a month, and it's past November expiration. Not getting as good of a bounce as Carnival. Catching the same support, though, as Carnival. And I'd have to do the math. This looks like it's close to a 50% retracement here. So that makes sense for a temporary bounce. Although, again, it's in no man's land. If you want to do the math really quick on the retracement, take 21 minus, let's say, 12, divide that by 2, and subtract it from the 21. That'll give you a 50% retracement. I don't want to do the math on this one. Don't really care. Good liquidity here. Put side, I'd sell 15. So good volatility here. Yeah. Good volatility here. Which means the options are overpriced theoretically. I think for the put side, you've already missed the put side, so don't sell the put side. And same thing with Carnival. You're too early to sell the call side. So it's just, again, it's hanging out in no man's land. I wouldn't do anything here. Call side, you want to sell 21 and buy 23 then. 29 minus 10. 29 minus 10 divided by 2, divided by 200, not even 5%. So skip this one. Let's move on. Let's check a look at Constellation brand post-earnings. Usually not a lot to do with this one post-earnings, but we'll check it out anyways. Earnings were this morning before the open. Looks like they're up 3.5%. Resistance is at 255 here. So we're a little early to sell the call side. And if it goes past that, the next resistance is 2060-ish. Call side for February. If you sold... Actually, I'd skip this one. Liquidity is no good. You got a 15-cent spread here with zero volume. 25-cent spread here with a little bit of volume, but still no good. No bueno. Put side. Pass. Even worse. 40-cent spread here. Let's look at some of the food names. They've got upgrades and downgrades here today too. Let's do Yum first. Earnings are February 7th, so we got a little bit more than a month. Upgraded to outperform at Oppenheimer this morning. Down though. Came up, hit the 200-day and is bouncing down. If it's going to continue this trend up, catch support around 125. Yep. Again, same thing with this one. No man's land. No clear direction. Hard to pick a side. No volume on the put side. No volume on the call side. Moving on. Let's look at QSR. This is also a restaurant stock. Oppenheimer adjusts price target to 89 from 83 and reiterates outperform. Earnings are February 13th, a little more than a month. Not a lot of movement on this news though. It's gone from 62 up to 78. That's okay. On the call side, no volume. Same thing with put side, no volume. Moving on, let's look at Cava, CAVA. This is a newer stock. Same story, not a lot of volume. What was the news? No news. Look at the PE, 516 on the PE. Pass. Carnival, we already looked at. Snowflake, SNOW. RBC initiates coverage with an outperform. Earnings are on the 28th, so over a month, and I think that's past February expiration. No clear direction here. Call side. If you sold 220 and bought 230, that's 188 minus 101 divided by 2 divided by 1,000. That's 4.3%. Not so great. Put side. If you sold 165 and bought 155, that's 189 minus 89 divided by 2. That's 5% right on the nose. Okay, not good, not bad. Next up, Palantir. PLTR. Down 1.5 today. Palantir slides on downgrade. Downgraded from who? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Downgraded. Earnings are on February 12th. Okay. It's going to catch a bounce. Low. So you've got lower low here. Lower low, lower low, lower low. And then another lower low right as it's coming to its 200 day. So that lines up really well. You're probably going to get a bounce around 15. That's still $1 away. So percentage-wise, we're still a little bit farther away. Put side. You're not going to get paid for it. You'd have to sell 12. It's too... Volatility is definitely higher on this one. That's going to start pricing in earnings as well. So this one's kind of in a wonko time area. We can do better. PayPal next, PYPL. I think got a downgrade today. Cut to neutral from buy. Earnings are in the 8th. We're getting a little too close to earnings on this one. Let's take a look. Call side, if you sold 70 and bought 75. Good liquidity here. Look at this. 2 cent spread here and 1 cent spread here. This is exactly what you want to look for liquidity-wise. 94 minus 50 divided by 2 divided by 500. 4.4% on the call side. On the put side, if you sold 50 and bought 45, this one's priced perfectly. There's no edge here. 62 minus 21 divided by 2 divided by 500. 4.1%. I skipped this one. HWM. In the news this morning, we're going to skip right away. No liquidity, no volume. But in the news this morning for, I can't remember what, upgrade? Something. Moving on. Let's look at oil. We'll start with USO, and also look at XOP and XLE. I think one of the shipping carriers announced that they're not going to be shipping through the Red Sea because of all the attacks from the Houthis. So, waiting for oil to make another clear move. As far as the USO goes, if it can get another move down here, it sell puts around 61.5 for a bounce. But on the call side, we need to have a much stronger move up before selling the call side. So it's way too early to sell the call side, despite the fact it's up almost 2% today. But we can't sell the put side yet, just because it's, again, no man's land, no clear direction, hard to do. Let's look at XOP. It's my favorite. Same thing, hanging out, no man's land, just hanging out in the middle here. Right at the 200 day, it's bounced off a bunch, broke through, and then broke back up, bouncing off again. So I don't know, but I feel like it wants to move back up. What is this, inverse head and shoulders? If you follow that stuff, I don't. We've got an ascending trend line here as well. So if I had to make the case for going to the upside or the downside, I would say moving to the upside. Let's check out the put side for this. Let me look at volatility really quick. Fair. Put side for February, if you sold the 124, and sure, buy the 119. It's 110. Minus 62 divided by 2 divided by 500, only 4.8%. On the call side, if you sold 150 and bought the 155. Does it beat 4.8%? 117 minus 61 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5.6. So not by much, but very, very, very slight call skew on this one. But I'd rather sell the put side. You just don't get paid for it right now. We need some more volatility to the downside than sell the put side. Let's check out the XLE just to wrap up the energy sector. Same story, hanging out at the 200-day. All right, let's move on. We'll follow up with Walgreens from yesterday, WBA. Had a gap down, sold way off during the day, and then rallied right back. And it looks like downward movement's going to continue just because of the action. For February, call side, you'd want to sell 27.5 and buy 30. I just don't think it's worth it. Put side, you'd have to sell 20. You're not going to get paid for it. We'll take Walgreens off the list. All right, let's look at the Qs. It's been down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. It's getting a bounce today. No clear support. I'm gonna look at the futures market really quick. So if you look at the futures market, it's catching support from back here. Hence the bounce. It doesn't look like it here. Okay. On the put side, if you sold, if you sold 380, it's a little close, and bought 375. Let's take a look on the put side. That's 275 minus 208 divided by 2 divided by 500, 6.7% on the put side for February. On the call side, you'd want to sell 420 and buy 425. Does it beat 6.7? It's 209 minus 129 divided by 2 divided by 500, 8% on the nose there. Granted, the 420 is a little close. Where's 420 on the chart? 420 is right here. That does seem awfully close for February expiration. Tough one. All right, moving on. We'll go to our IV rank scanner and we'll sort by volume. Look at the SPY. With the downward movement this week, it has had some heightened volatility priced into the options market, but not by much. Here's our chart. Personally, I still think there's more movement to the downside. We'll have to wait and see next week. On the call side for February, if you sold maybe 489, and buy 494. That's 157 minus 83 divided by 2 divided by 500, 7.4% if you sold the call side here. Not bad. On the put side, if you think the bounce is happening now, sell the 451 and buy the 446. That's 213 minus 162 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5.1%. So still call skew in this one. 214 on the put side, on the call side, 156. So if you sell the call side as a spread, you get paid more, but if you sell the put side, same distance, you get paid more. So if you have the account to do it, you just sell the put straight out. Or if you have the cash to secure it, you can do that too. 451, where's that on the chart? Oh, awfully close. Never mind, I wouldn't do that. 451's right about here. That seems awfully close to sell for February expiration. We need to have more volatility to have these strikes spread out. Okay, moving on. Tesla has earnings on the 24th. IWM, let's check it out. We're short here, the 197 and long the 200 for January expiration. So both the strikes are out of the money. Just barely though. We'll see what happens next week. Kind of in no man's land here though. Still good volatility on this one. So if you want to sell the put side, sell 181 and buy 176. 129 minus 79 divided by 2 divided by 500. That's 5% on the nose. Or if you wanted to sell the put straight out, you can do that. On the call side, if you sold 209 and bought 214, that's 131 minus 68 divided by 2 divided by 500, 6.3%. So your spread is better on the call side still. Same thing, no bias here. It could catch a bounce. Maybe yesterday it did. You need to look at the futures market, see if it touched this one. If not, next support is down 187. Moving on. Apple. Apple's flat again. Getting close to that 200-day. Tempting to sell the put side here. On the put side for February, you got to get close, man. You got to sell the 170. When are earnings here for Apple? Earnings are February 1st. We're less than a month away. That kind of throws a wrench in things. Let's move on. Medical Properties Trust, $4 stock, skip. AMD, we just got out of our AMD. I'm not so sure I want to hop back in yet. AMD, earnings must be January 30th. So we're too close on that to earnings. We'll move on. Amazon. The TLT. We'll pass on the TLT for today. Not a lot of movement. Even though we had the jobs report come out today. We've got CPI next week too. So maybe that'll move the TLT, the bond market more. All right, next. Marathon Digital. Sure. MARA. 29th for earnings. Call side. Okay liquidity here. Man, if you moved out to looked at this one a bunch. The numbers are hard on this one. It's a really tough call to make on this one. Picking the strike to short is the hardest part. Anywhere from 37 all the way down to 45 makes sense. You pick one in the middle, I guess. Sell the 41. And liquidity is not the greatest here. Put side. Better liquidity, but you get paid a little bit less. If you sold 13 and bought 11 or 10, let's do 11. 35 minus 17 divided by 2 divided by 200, 4.5%. Let's skip all this one. Skip it all together. Meta. Must have earnings coming up. Peloton up 15% today. We looked at this one yesterday. It had the TikTok news. I don't know if that warrants any great investment. It is going to hit resistance here from back in June of 22, along with hitting the 200-day, so that makes it interesting. If it breaks through, it can go all the way up to 830. Let's take a look at the call side here. It's actually kind of interesting. There aren't enough strikes available on this one. You'd have to sell 10, but you'd have to buy 11 then, so you get 9 cents on the spread. It's dumb. Put side, skip the put side. This one's close. Close but no cigar. Microsoft probably has earnings. Bank of America has earnings on the 12th. QuantumScape. Citigroup has earnings on the 17th. We'll pass. Google. Coinbase. I think all these Bitcoin people have some news coming out as early as next week, Monday, about a whole bunch of ETFs getting approved by the SEC. So that may be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Or the selling's already begun. If you look at the chart of Coinbase, it got all the way up to like 180 something and sold off. So the sell the news may already be happening. Earnings are February 20th. Blah, blah, blah. Here's your chart. See, it got all the way up to 187 and fell back down. Bounced off resistance back here. Skip this one. American Airlines. I think Delta was in the news today about an upgrade or downgrade. Gold, GLD. Hold on gold. Maybe wait till after CPI and see if there's any movement after CPI with gold. Zim, JetBlue, PayPal, we already looked at. Intel has earnings on the 25th. Netflix has earnings on the 23rd. Costco. No, sorry, Costco's not on this list. Although Costco was in the news this morning for some reason or other. Don't remember. AT&T. Nope. January earnings. Riot. Pfizer has the healthcare conference. Let's keep that in mind. We should see some movement next week after the conference is over. JP Morgan has earnings on the 12th. I want to look at JP Morgan. Rarely do I sell spreads before earnings, but this one may be too good to be true. Earnings on the 12th, right? The 12th. Today's the 5th. What day of the week is the 12th? Look at the calendar really quick. The 12th is next Friday. So I'm going to put JP Morgan on the list and actually sell a call spread right before earnings. Rarely do we open positions before earnings, but this one is kind of obvious. I mean, any slightest bit of bad news in their earnings and this thing's going to tank. Man. Call side, if you sold the 185 and bought the 190. It's 110 minus 53 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5 points, almost 6%. And remember, this is JP Morgan. This is a big blue chip stock that doesn't really move much. Bum, 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 bum. Let me take a look at wait, don't want that one. Skip that one. For next week's expiration, so earnings are the 12th. If you sold 180 and bought 185, that's cuckoo. So if you bought for day of expiration, that's 73 minus 24 divided by 2 divided by 500, 5% there. It's too close though. On the 24th, these are crazy expensive just because of earnings being priced in. And by crazy expensive, I mean it's relative. Where's 182 on the chart? 182 is right up here. Remember, earnings are involved in this for the 14th. So my cursor, you can see, is on the 14th. So it's got to get to 182 by next week, Friday. Could it get there? Sure. But that's one hell of a move up. And remember, this stock is at an all-time high. Silly. All right, moving on. KRE. I think we're waiting for the KRE to get to 56. Hold on that one. Walgreens we already looked at. KRE. Snapchat probably has earnings coming up. ExxonMobil. Let's take a look at ExxonMobil. XOM. Earnings have got to be coming up soon. February 2nd, yes. Less than a month away for earnings on Exxon. I wouldn't open this one yet. Next. We're right at the tip of earnings season. So with all these earnings coming up, it's going to be a little bit harder to open new things until after earnings. But once we get all these earnings coming through, we'll have a lot of opportunities to make some moves on big moves that aren't priced into the options market, okay? Verizon has earnings on the 23rd. We'll skip that one, although it did get those upgrades earlier this week. ARC is a no thank you. Boeing. We'll follow up with Boeing after the earnings. Any pop on Boeing, short. Disney. Earnings are on the 7th. XBI. Still high on XBI. Let's take a look. XBI. Down today. So, go over my position here. I'm short the 85 and long the 90. So my short position Short position is in the money, but my long position isn't. And we've got 2 weeks till expiration. So I'm kind of waiting to see if this thing pulls back. That's good. But we'll have to roll if not. And by Monday morning, we'll make a decision on whether or not to roll or not. The bid ask is getting a little wide here, so it may be tricky to roll too. However, if you want to open something on the call side for, well, here's January. Here are my positions. Like I said, 85's in the money, 90's out of the money. If you want to open something for February, if I did, I'd sell 99 and buy 104. This thing's perfectly priced too. $88 minus 39 divided by 2 divided by 500. That's right. You don't really get paid for it. You're only getting 24. I'm getting 27 on mine. I wouldn't open a call spread here anymore. Something's been... the call side's not paying as well. Put side, though, maybe switch to the put side, huh? If you sold 79 and bought 74. Actually, the put side is fairly priced, too. 78 minus 35 divided by 2 divided by 500, 4.3%. So, slight call skew, but not by much. If you wanted to sell the put straight out, you get a little bit of an edge on the 80. Volatility is a little high, but we had it much better off in mid-November. That's how we sold the call side here and got demolished. It's okay. We got some time. Moving on. Where are we at? XBI right here. All right, next, Jets, Cleveland Cliffs. Earnings on the 29th. Delta and Wells Fargo have earnings on the 12th. The XLF. Hey, look, if you do want to play earnings season for the financials, if you want to go to the XLF, that's an option. Maybe we'll do that instead of JP Morgan. It'll smooth out some of the volatility, though. And the volatility is not being priced in. So that's not good for selling. Holy moly. Look at this move up. From 32 up to 37. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that for an ETF. Look at the post-pandemic move. This is all in anticipation of rate cuts. On the call side for February, if you sold 40, you don't get paid for it. Skip this one. Lilly, too big of a stock. Freeport has earnings on the 24th. Bristol Myers has earnings on the 2nd, and they're part of that conference on the 8th. Taiwan Semi has earnings on the 18th. Enphase had a big down week. Let's take a look. ENPH. Earnings are on the 6th, so we're exactly a month away, roughly. On the call side, well, actually, yikes, so. Caught the resistance from back here. Almost made it to the 200-day. Sold off. Again, in no man's land. I wouldn't sell puts until maybe 100, so another $18 move down. On the put side, if you sold 90 and bought 95. Man, these are expensive. If you sold the put straight out, if you got a cash secured or you're approved to, you can get $193 if you just sold the 90 on its own. 193 minus 132 divided by 2 divided by 500, 6.1% on the put side. That's pretty good. What about the call side? If you sold the 150 and bought the 155, these are expensive too. 295 minus 235 divided by 2 divided by 500, 6% there. So balanced on both sides, no edge here, but you get paid to sell both. If you want to sell the condor, you can. Interesting. USO we already looked at. Bitcoin ETF. CVS we already looked at. TNA. Lucid, no. One more page and I think we'll call it for today. We may go back and look at McDonald's. Spirit, no. Chevron has earnings on the 2nd of February. UNG down, nope. McDonald's earnings on the 5th. That's right. Morgan Stanley, earnings on the 16th. Newmont, rather do GLD, or if Newmont got to 44, we'd sell the call spread, but not yet. Constellation, we already looked at. ARM. United has earnings. I think that's going to do it for today. Let's go back. We'll put a mark on McDonald's. We'll follow up next week on McDonald's, okay? I think that'll do it. Good week this week to open up. We had our TLT position closed, we had our AMD position closed, and we had our DIA position closed, all with wins. Good wins to start the year. It's always nice to get a good cash buffer at the beginning of the year. That way, for your year-to-date money, once you have losses, it kind of smooths things out. So, not bad on that one. The rest of these, we'll see what happens next week. If things get filled, great. If not, we'll start the rolling process to February expiration. XHB already is a February expiration, but Roku should be okay. SPY, we got to maybe roll. IWM is a coin toss, and same thing with XBI. So hold off till next week, and we'll catch up then, okay? So again, congratulations if you were in on the Dow Jones one as well. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Tune in every morning at 7:15 a.m. on the West Coast and 10:15 a.m. on the East Coast. We go live every morning trading options. Also, tell your friends who are trading options to tune in, subscribe, and watch as well. We'll all trade options together. Thank you so much to all the supporters this week. Gregory, Lacey, everybody that donated, I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll see everybody Monday morning.